Tips, by the way, is defined as tips received in an occupation where an individual customarily and regularly receives tip income.
Shout out all my bartending staff back in Hollywood.
Along with how you could receive no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, $1,000 for every child, among a variety of other initiatives. Here's everything that you need to know and more, along with one little secret that could instantly save you thousands of dollars that almost nobody knows about.
Stay for the big, beautiful bill. Now, this is one of the most important pieces of legislation of Mr. Trump's entire presidency, and today, July 4th, it's going to be signed by the president.
Time is the most valuable asset, and I save it for you. Welcome to the week in YouTube Finance.
Big Beautiful Bill has officially passed, representing one of the largest tax cuts in U.S. history. This bill will lower tax rates, increase deductions, and create several incentives that will allow savvy taxpayers to greatly reduce their taxes. But there is a lot of confusion about what exactly has passed at this point, leaving many people wondering how this new bill will affect their wallets at the end of the day, or what they can do to benefit from this bill. So in this video, I'm going to give you a simple, straightforward, and no nonsense explanation of what to expect from this as a practicing CPA that helps people use the tax code to reduce their taxes every day at mycpacoach.com. If that sounds good to you, please hit the like button below, comment your thoughts as we go through this, and let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so let's start with the provisions that will impact almost everyone watching this. Like number one, the permanent decrease to the individual tax rates. This is quite literally the most expensive provision in this tax bill, expecting to reduce government tax revenues by over $2 trillion over the next decade. Or in other words, this is putting $2 trillion back into our pockets. Now, the 2017 tax cuts reduced several tax brackets, like the 39.6 bracket down to 37%, the 25% bracket down to 22%, and the 15% tax bracket down to just 12%. These tax rate reductions were originally temporary in nature and were set to expire at the end of 2025. But this bill will make those reductions permanent. Now let's move on to number two, the permanent increase to the standard deduction, which 90% of taxpayers claim at this time. So the 2017 tax cuts more than doubled this deduction, but that temporary increase was also set to expire at the end of 2025. Also, if you have children, you may also benefit from the new child tax credit. This is another provision that was set to expire at the end of 2025, which would have caused the child tax credit to go from $2,000 down to just $1,000 per qualifying child. This bill extends this and increases the child tax credit to $2,200 per child, which is expected to save taxpayers nearly $800 billion in taxes over the next decade. There are similar income limitations to the no tax on tips provisions in this bill as well. This bill allows a deduction against qualified tip income up to $25,000 and is subject to the same income limitations we just saw. And qualified tips, by the way, is defined as tips received in an occupation where an individual customarily and regularly receives tip income. This will apply
Shout out all my bartending staff back in Hollywood.
To employees and certain business owners that provide hospitality services, personal care, transportation, and certain creative and retail services as well. It also permanently renews and enhances the Opportunity Zone tax credit, which has allowed investors to defer and avoid capital gains taxes when making investments into qualified Opportunity Zone funds. I will be creating several in-depth video guides that go into many of these tax provisions in greater detail, so make sure you subscribe to our channel to stay in the loop on those, and also drop a comment below and let me know which of these you're the most interested in learning more about. Also, if you need help implementing some of these strategies and your CPA is not helping you plan around these type of things, just apply to work with my team today at mycpacoach.com. Thank you for watching.
So that was really cool. I really like getting the POV from a CPA. We're gonna get a lot of points of view from different folks, so let's get back into it.
What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So you better prepare yourself, because starting today, it is 100% confirmed that we are seeing some of the biggest tax breaks and cuts of the last decade. That's right, Trump's new tax plan is now officially signed into law. And I gotta say, if you make any amount of money whatsoever, you need to hear exactly what's inside, because it could either end up saving you or costing you a ton of money, all depending on how fast you're able to act. That's why if you want to hear about all the new changes that are about to directly impact you, along with how you could receive no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, $1,000 for every child, car loan write-offs, and massive $40,000 state tax deductions, among a variety of other initiatives, here's everything that you need to know and more, along with one little secret that could instantly save you thousands of dollars that almost nobody knows about. Although before we start, I don't usually do this, but as a quick disclaimer, when I was researching this video, it was almost impossible to find sources that were not incredibly biased. Like, one side says it's a disgusting abomination that ends America's time as a great power, while the other side says it's the best thing ever and it'll spark economic growth. Here's an overly simplistic view of exactly how it works. Instead of an S-corp owner paying themselves the full distribution and then being required to pay state taxes on a personal level, the S-corp will pay its portion of state taxes as a deduction, since that's not limited by the $10,000 or $40,000 SALT cap. And then that credit will transfer to you on the individual level, essentially allowing you to use the full amount that you pay for state and local taxes as a tax write-off. Don't believe me? Well, so far 30 states have already approved the strategy, and the IRS even issued their guides the full amount that you pay for state and local taxes as a tax write-off. Don't believe me? Well, so far 30 states have already approved the strategy, and the IRS even issued their guidance on how to proceed with it. On top of that, the Senate was considering language that would close this loophole, but they didn't do it. There was also a very unusual amendment that was included last minute that caps gambling losses at 90%. Or I guess put more simply, gamblers are now going to have to pay a 10% tax on their losses, which makes absolutely no sense to me. This video took me more than you could imagine to put together, so again, that's all I ask for. Thank you so much, and until next time.
Just want to be sure and reiterate those points, so check this out. Here's those 6 major points. Go ahead and screen grab it if you need them. And next up, Mr. Jick.
Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the big, beautiful bill. Now, this is one of the most important pieces of legislation of Mr. Trump's entire presidency, and it just passed both the House and the Senate, and today, July 4th, it's going to be signed by the president. And this new law will have major changes to things like taxes, healthcare, student loans, energy, retirement accounts like the Roth IRA, and the entire economy. Now, you've also probably heard that this bill will help the rich, and here's how it's going to do that. If someone makes over $1 million a year, this bill will give them an average 3% boost in after-tax income, which works out to about $75,000 in savings per year, according to the Tax Policy Center. And there's a few ways that's going to happen. The SALT deduction cap, which goes up, the limit is on screen, and there's also some changes to itemized charitable deductions, with wealthier households seeing slightly reduced benefits, while middle-income earners can now claim up to $2,000 in charitable deductions without itemizing at all. Now, there's a lot more to this bill that I left out. There's hundreds and hundreds of pages to this, but I think the bigger question is, how are we going to actually pay for this? And more money printing means nothing stops this train. The rich will get richer, and the people without assets will most likely be left behind. This also kind of sets up the president and his family to really benefit from owning hard assets, especially assets like Bitcoin, because hard assets will go up much more in the long term as a result of all of this. I did an entire video about this. I'm sure I'll do one in the future. There's obviously a lot more changes to this bill that I probably missed. These are just my initial reactions and impressions, and they're the ones that stood out the most to me. And if you've made it this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about all of this. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to see you back here next week. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
There we go with 3 views from 3 different folks. We've got a CPA, Mr. Graham, Mr. Jake. How does that all add up for you?
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next Sunday. Cheers.